I think Tampa will take both games in Tampa to start the series, and then Montreal will win 2 games in Montreal. But then Tampa will win the next one, and then Montreal will win the last 2. I think Montreal will do the same thing the Bruins did. They'll lose all their games on the road until the last one, the one that matters, happens, and they'll take home the cup. What are your predictions?
Suns have the best backcourt duo.
Yeah, so we've already talked about Burrow a lot, especially how he's influenced the Bengals organization to do some questionable things.
A great job from the Islanders to rebound off that and force a Game 7 with Bellavide's game-winning goal in overtime in Game 6.
We don't talk about the 2010s because the 2010s had the Astros, and if the Astros didn't happen, the Yankees would have won in 2017 over the Dodgers.
I'm going to say it's during the Week 17 game after the Cowboys have clinched the division, so we just put Ben DiNucci in.
Vegas was really outplayed the last 3 games of this series, and they did not seem like they wanted it as much as Montreal did.
And then the Oilers versus the Jets. Jets haven't been playing well. Oilers, you got a great offense with Connor McDavid. So I have them sweeping them.
Yeah, well, I don't think you heard my point. The San Francisco Giants have 3 more in the 2010s than the Rangers have in their entire history. So, yeah.
It's hard to get back and to get back-to-back wins. And I don't see the Lightning doing it here, so I have them losing to the Hurricanes in 6.
DeAndre Ayton, I think, will step up in this series and shut down Jokic enough for this to work out for them.
He was close to Frank Reich, and they want Frank Reich back, so that's what they got. It's their discount Frank Reich in Eagles' eyes.
Kaprizov and the rest of this crew. Jordan Greenway, who doesn't get enough props. He definitely is somebody who needs to be mentioned more.
What would you have said if I bet you $100 at the end of the round robin and start of the playoffs that the Stars would be in the Stanley Cup playoffs or Stanley Cup finals?
Hi, this is Julie Dobbs. You're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our USFL Opinions of the Week. Little thing that I learned to send it to Austin is the USFL Championship between the Stallions and Stars peaked at more than 1.8 million viewers on Fox, the most watched and most streamed USFL contest since week 1. And locally, Birmingham averaged an 11.0/24, the market's best USFL telecast since week 1. So I'd take that as a good sign for the USFL Championship. Can definitely grow, but 1.8 million I think is a solid start. And they mentioned that with similar to week 1. So we'll talk about the championship. I am joined by my co-host Austin, and I believe I picked Stallions and you had Stars.
Yep, that is what we chose.
So I got victory.
Yeah.
But it doesn't count, correct?
No, it doesn't count. We both lost.
Yeah,
if anyone asked, we both lost to USFL. We
didn't register a point.
No, we did terrible.
So, what'd you think?
It was a close game, 33-30. I watched part of it. I didn't get to watch the ending, which sucks, but it was a great game, and I watched a lot of the highlights. Philadelphia was in it for a long portion, but a pick 6 late gave Birmingham the win. They were about to drive. Philadelphia was only down 26-23, and then a pick 6 made it 33-23. And even though they scored a touchdown, they couldn't get the onside kick. So it was an impressive victory, a close one, and I think that's good for USFL that the game was really close. It shows that there is some parity. The Stars were a great team, and so were the Birmingham Stallions. So it was a nice game.
Yeah, so I missed the beginning, but I caught the end, and I'll talk about the onside kick later because I loved what they did with it. But the QB injuries were a major part. That's when the Stars started to come back when Smith left the game, and McHugh, he just wasn't hitting well, and you could hear the argument he had because he threw a pick. But that pick 6 by Scooby Wright was a great lift for the Stallions, and I thought the Stars were going to come back and win. But it was down to the wire, as you said, and now on to the onside kick. they have an option of a regular onside kick or 4th and 12, and they chose 4th and 12, which was awesome because I was like, oh, they can actually like convert this, and it's not with an onside kick where you have to have a miracle and a player not knowing the rules of not touching the ball, of touching the ball on the opposing team. It was just great. So I'm glad the USFL did that because it was awesome.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that the NFL should look into. Uh, it's easily the best way to do it. I would actually do a 4th and 15 instead of a 4th and 12. I think you should still get the ball to 35 no matter what, but you have to get to the 50 to get the first down. And that's not really how they did it. But Philadelphia got the ball back with like 20 something seconds. They tried to push it down, but another pick ended the game. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of these guys get looks in the NFL. There was very impressive performances from guys like Victor Bolden, who caught the go-ahead touchdown, and he was also named the MVP of the championship game. So we may see some guys get some NFL looks based on their performance, either in the season or this game.
Yeah, I agree. So there was an MVP. I turned the game
Yeah,
off.
yeah. It was Victor Bolden, who had 6 catches for 64 yards and the go-ahead touchdown.
Okay. I thought I thought it was gonna be Scarborough, but I think he just had a great first half. The second half didn't seem
You're
like
talking
he
about the
did
running
much.
back?
Yeah, running back.
Yeah, he was impressive the entire season, but they gave it to Bolden probably because he had the game-winning touchdown. That's probably a big part of it. But yeah, Scarborough, another player who could get some looks from NFL players, and I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if multiple players did.
Yeah, I was. It was interesting to me with the QB injuries. Both starting QBs went out, and then you had backups both in, and they both threw picks that hurt their team. But I think Stallions did a great job. They relied on their defense, which was a part of the whole season. Like they relied on their defense and they played well. And they only lost one game, so it's a great job from them. And maybe they'll continue.
Yeah, it depends on how many players they get back. I don't know how many were on 1-year deals and had a goal of getting to the NFL based on their performance here, but if they can keep some of their better players, I wouldn't be surprised if they could repeat.
Yeah, I'm very curious on the off season, as like I've talked about it the whole year. What happens? Like what people go to the NFL? How do you restock your talent? Do you look at the college, or do you look at something else, like the CFL, or something like that? And do we know a start date for USFL free agency?
I will look that up right now.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say they probably look at the CFL or Arena Football League to try to restock their talent if there is some issues with re-signing players because they want to go to the NFL. But I'm looking.
Yeah, I'm looking as well. So everything I'm seeing is like NFL teams that could pick up
Yeah,
like
same,
Penn State
same.
Chiefs.
I would assume that it would be not that long from now. It'll probably be mid-July, late July, maybe, if I
Yeah, I
had to
agree.
guess.
I wonder if they wait till the roster in the NFL cuts down to 60. Is it a 60 man
Well,
or
there's
is
a
it 90 man
75
now?
man.
75 man.
Yeah, that's
That
for the preseason, and then you have to get to 53
okay. Get
by
to
week
53.
one.
Okay. So do they wait till the NFL teams make their final cuts, and then that's when their free agency starts?
It'd be interesting to look into.
Because then, or maybe that's like the draft. That was just them. What do you got?
There's also I've seen a lot of this happens overseas for NBA players. Like they have an NBA out clause. Basically, if they get a contract, they're allowed to void their contract. That happened with the XFL too. But I'd be interested to see if people are going to have those contracts in the USFL, especially if it's maybe a former NFL player that's just like, hey, I want to get back in the league, so I'm going to play here. But if I get a contract from the NFL, my contract's void. I think the USFL should do that because it would allow players to realize, hey, I could still go to the NFL, so they're more inclined to do well on this current contract. But if they sign a 2-year deal, they may struggle in their first year knowing they still have another year before they can even get a chance to go back to the NFL.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm curious. I think it all depends on the USFL and like how they want it be perceived. Because if they're like, hey, we're like the NFL just in the spring, and they sign former NFL players, I think that works for them. But if they kind of go, hey, we kind of want to compete against the NFL and we don't want to be tied to them, then I think that takes away from a lot of guys you could get. Because even when I was watching, I was like, yeah, this isn't like it's still football and it's still great to watch. It's just like with the NFL, it somehow seemed faster.
Oh,
And
the
maybe it's
NFL's
just
certainly faster, and it's also part that they didn't get to play as long together. This USFL team, like their championship, they had only played 12 games, while the NFL now their regular season 17. They also had preseason games, so much longer time together. And also, this is the first year of the USFL. Like, if you go into the Patriots locker room right now, they have 20 years or 20 plus years of Bill Belichick that everyone, every coach there, a lot of players who've been there for a long time, they know how the system's run. But this year, the USFL had to start that process now, what their team's going to look like for the future. So it's continuity isn't really there yet with the USFL teams, but it was still entertaining to watch, as you said.
yeah, it was definitely entertaining. There's still some great moments, like I talked about the onside kick, and that's all I got. Congratulations to the Birmingham Stallions. And this is a little fun fact I learned. The Birmingham Stallions coach, um, his name is Coach Skip Holtz. Do you know who his dad is?
You said his name was what?
Skip Holtz.
Holtz. No, tell me.
So Lou Holtz
Oh yeah, that's the Notre Dame
is
coach,
his
right?
father. Yes. Yeah. I did not know that, but I learned that during the game because I was watching it
I
with
couldn't
someone
remember
who's
the guy,
in
the
Notre Dame.
coach's name. I knew that was a coach's name, but I just couldn't remember the guy's first name. But yeah, when you said it, I knew it was a Notre Dame
Yeah.
head
So he
coach.
was he played with Notre Dame, and I believe he coached Notre Dame. Lou Holtz, for everyone wondering. So that was a little fun fact I learned, and I think he handled it well. There was an interview where McHugh was like, "Hey, that's not my fault." He's like, "Hey, don't worry, we're gonna come and win this game. Don't worry about it." So I just thought he did a great job handling the backup QB. Where I was like, "Dude, I wouldn't say that." I was like, "Okay, he was kind of hot headed, or he was kind of in the moment," but I thought Skip Holtz did a great job dealing with that. So now the return of the USFL's first season has concluded. We have a championship. Hopefully, we get to do this again next year. Hopefully, they stay alive, and that's all I got.